All right, joining me now on the Matthew Filipowicz Show is America's #1 populist, Jim Hightower. Jim is, of course, a radio commentator, a New York Times bestselling author, and the publisher of the Hightower Lowdown, all of which and more you can find at jimhightower.com. Jim, thank you so much for being on the show.
Hey, great to be with you, Matt.
So, Jim, I'm very excited to have you today because just a few days ago, your fellow Texan, which unfortunately he's your fellow Texan, Rick Perry, a man you actually have a bit of history with, declared his candidacy for president. So, I'd love to know, Jim, what is your take on Rick Perry?
Well, this is a guy who has really put the goober in gubernatorial here in our state. And what he represents for the Republicans is really a twofer, because in this one guy in the same suit, they get both a guy who is one of the farthest out of the Tea Party Republicans, far out right-wingers. I mean, think of Michelle Bachmann, but with better hair. That's basically what Perry offers. And then, but on the other hand, what they get is an exuberant corporate Republican, a guy who has never met a lobbyist that he wouldn't hug, as long as that lobbyist was bearing a campaign check and had a wish list. And Perry that's been the practice of government under Perry, is basically government by cronyism.
Mm-hmm. And so, I mean, you've actually, Rick Perry touts that Texas has a great job growth, but that's actually not the case in Texas. Actually, Perry's record in Texas is actually quite bad, correct?
Yes, it's bad on several fronts. One, there are 26 other states that have a lower unemployment rate than we do, so that's not a whole lot to brag about. By the way, that includes those hardcore right-wing states of Massachusetts and New York. But more importantly, that his job creation record that he's touting is essentially a lie. He calls it a miracle, but it's no better than what Ann Richards did when she was governor of Texas, good Democrat. No better, and not as good, by the way, as George W. Bush when he was governor. But more importantly is that he's not created jobs, he's created jobettes. Employment that has very low wage, no benefits, no upward mobility, no job security to them. In fact, Texas, under Perry's tenure, has created more minimum wage jobs than all of the states combined. I don't think this is a miracle that most people want to have brought to all of America.
Right. And as I said, you actually do have a bit of actual history with Perry. People may not be aware of this. A lot of people may know you mostly from your commentaries and your books.
Right.
But you were actually a Texas agricultural commissioner, and you actually you were one of the first victims of a horrible Karl Rove campaign and Rovism, actually, with Rick Perry, correct?
Yes. I was elected 2 terms, much to the amusement of the people here, to the State Office of Agriculture Commissioner. And among the duties of that little but important office was that I was the pesticide regulator of the state. And so having the power, we decided, why don't we try using it for a change to protect farm workers, to protect people in the suburbs up against the sprayed fields, to protect the farmers themselves. So we did. And this greatly and deeply angered the chemical lobbyists, very powerful lobby group in Texas. And so they wanted to do away with me. And also the Republican governor wanted to do away with me. So the first thing they did was to sponsor a bill that would remove the pesticide authority from me, and would also make my office appointed rather than elected. Perry carried that legislation. And through that, he developed a relationship with the chemical lobbyist and others and Republican leaders who wanted me out. And then Karl Rove came along as the 1990 race for re-election came up, and recruited Perry to switch parties. Perry at the time was a Democrat. And switch parties in order to run against me. But in fact, my real race was not against him. He was quite inconsequential at the time. He had not developed his campaigning chops and was so bad at it, in fact, that Rove sent him way out to West Texas just to roam around county to county going to Farm Bureau meetings because Perry had not a clue how to deal with Houston or Dallas or San Antonio or the Rio Grande Valley, etc. So my opponent was Rove himself, who raised $3 million and threw that at the television stations in one of his patented slander campaigns against me.
Yeah. So what do you think, how would you compare Rick Perry to George Bush, another Texas governor who eventually became, horribly our president? How would you compare the two?
Well, get ready. He is a corporate plutocrat, just like Bush, but without the intelligence and without the ethical sensibilities.
Wow, that is a horror movie waiting to happen, isn't it?
Yeah, right. It really is.